Hello. Extended warranty? For a car I owned in high school?
So I may be the legitimate heir to the throne? Can you hold on a second? I'm a prince!
I'm wanted for tax evasion? Hey Spanky, I'm wanted for tax evasion again.
3 free nights if I just listen to an hour-long presentation?
But I don't want a timeshare in Antarctica.
First prize in a beauty contest? All right, my social is 472.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Up to Speed. Today we've got Hans here talking about his as well as Verizon's work with the United Nations, or UN, as we're in the midst of beginning what's known as the UN General Assembly. But before that, some news we're making this morning around robocalling. As you saw from the Up to Speed team a minute ago, there is no shortage of robocalls out there. However, Verizon has helped customers avoid more than 7 billion robocalls and counting. And with the new setting in iOS 14 to silence junk callers, we're able to protect iOS customers by blocking potential fraud and spam calls and sending them directly to voicemail. Pretty cool stuff. Next, we wanted to give you a quick update on our Hurricane Sally recovery efforts. To assist the community, Verizon has deployed 2 wireless emergency communication centers, or WECs, to Orange Beach, Alabama, at the Orange Beach Recreation Center and Orange Beach Sportsplex. These generator-powered mobile units have device charging, computer workstations, and wireless phones, tablets, and other devices to communicate with friends, family, and other important contacts. With over 99% of service restored in the storm-impacted areas, Verizon's network is providing service at our pre-storm levels, and all of our retail stores in the area are open business as usual hours at this time. So huge shout out and thanks to the network teams for all of their work in keeping that network up and running and supporting the local communities. We all appreciate that very much. So with that, Hans, want to get over to you. First, last week, a big week. We had a lot of big news coming out. We talked about elections. We had a green bond offering. We talked about our diversity representation report. So tell us, what's going on with you since we last checked in?
Hey, Katie, it was a busy week last week. I will come back a little bit to that. But first of all, to all V-teamers, great to be back on the show. They usually invite me on Mondays right now, so I'm happy they're inviting me, the Up to Speed team. A couple of things. First of all, of course, we still are having multiple crises here, and I always reiterate the health, the safety of all the V-teamers. That's the most important thing we have in front of us. So continue with the social distancing, continue with the mask and all of that, and we gradually see in many places on the globe that actually the pandemic is actually slowing down. And we should do our part and see that our customers, our friends, and ourselves are staying out of this horrible pandemic. So continue with that. As we have heard earlier, I think last week, we're now full-fledged in all our stores, normal opening hours and all of that, of course, with some new procedures that we need to follow. And I think that's great. And of course, our field tech team are busy and working in the field with our customers. So that's great to hear as well. And some of us are coming in on our 4th week on the return to office. I've actually been into office right now. It was my week last week. So I was in 2 times. It felt good to be there, even if I was fairly alone. But coming back to a little bit what's happening. I mean, last week was a big week for us. I mean, with many important announcements. Of course, on Monday, me and Ronan was announcing the acquisition of TracFone, and I hope that you have been following that and got an understanding how that fits in straight to our strategy, network as a service, and that we can serve all the segments of the market in an even better way. We can now be we're number 1 on premium segment, but also now on the value segment. So we're excited for that. Of course, it's going to take some time to get it approved, but so far so good, I would say. I think the team has done a terrific job. 2 important things we did last week that is fitting straight into our strategy. The green bond. Our treasury team launched last year the first green bond. We were first in the world of doing that, and this was the second green bond. And I can tell you both the how many that people that want to participate in financing us, and the interest rate we got are top notch. I mean, it's a big interest for us doing these green bonds. And this is going back to our commitment for the climate change, as you remember, 2035 to be net neutral. This is how we are doing it right now when the power grid is not 100% climate positive. That means that we need actually to actually invest in other sources in order to see that we are neutralizing whatever we're using. So great work with our treasury team and the banks involved. Happy for that. The second important thing we did last week was, of course, a diversity report. This is a sort of a much deeper report than we have done ever before. We have done this report inside our yearly reporting that we do, but not to this level of details. And we think it's important to actually share where we are and not saying we're perfect and having all the things right. It's more about this is where we are right now and how we need to move forward. And I think that there are some areas we actually have done quite a lot of progress on, and diversity and inclusion is sort of core values for us. So this is very important, and so that was an important thing. And of course, we want to be as transparent as we can be with all this data to see that we all are sharing where we are and where we're going. We also launched last week, I'm not sure you have seen it, but the 5G documentary, and that's very appropriate timing. The second half of this year, as we've spoken so many times before, is so much about 5G. There's the 60 cities, the 10 mobile edge compute centers, it's nationwide. It's a lot of things happening the next couple of months here, and the whole tech team is, of course, working enormously with the deployment of the networks right now. So exciting. But look at the 5G documentary, you get the feeling for what will happen and what will 5G be used for. Also, a lot of other things happening last week as well. Of course, if you're a sport geek, you cannot miss that now we both have NBA playoffs, we have NHL playoffs, and we have NFL starting. And I thank my team at the Verizon Media Group for the innovation with its Watch Together, which is a great sort of app where you can share together and look at the game at the same time. And we have seen a great pickup on that service. So spread the word about the Watch Together app inside Yahoo Sports. It's a great innovation. I think that's a little bit what's happening in the last week here, but the team and the organization is working a lot with business as usual, a lot of deliverables, and it's exciting times. Back to you, Katie.
Yes, absolutely. So much happening last week. So thanks for that recap and your thoughts, Hans. So, we wanted to talk a little bit today about your and Verizon's work with the UN. So the General Assembly officially kicking off tomorrow, and as a company, we're participating in several events. But can we start at the beginning? Tell us, how did you first come to be involved in working with the UN?
That started many, many years ago. I think around 2007 and 8, I started, that was when that was called the Millennium Development Goals. That was the goals that all membership nations had committed to in the UN to actually achieve. And I worked a lot with developing countries like Africa, Latin America, and I saw the power of technology to enable some of the biggest challenges on this earth. And that's how I started, and I got engaged and of course started working with the UN to see that how can we contribute from the private sector with our technology to mitigate some of the larger problems we have on Earth. And on that, it has continued into the Sustainable Development Goals, where I've been working quite a lot, of course, with the formulation of them from the private sector. I am on the board of the United Nations Foundation, which is sort of the foundation of the UN, helping the UN with different things across the globe. I've, of course, been part of also the SDSN, which is the Sustainable Development Solution Networks. That's the team that is thinking about solutions for reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. So, yeah, I've been engaged for a long time. And I think it's not only because I think it's important for a responsibility for our company's point of view, but it's also that technology is playing such a vital role in everything we're doing in today's society and meet some of the larger challenges we have on this earth. So that's how I got in there and what I'm doing today.
Yeah. So you mentioned both the Sustainable Development Goals as well as, some of your work with the UN Foundation. Do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the events you're participating in, upcoming throughout the General Assembly?
Yeah, we've already started. So we started actually last week with the Broadband Commissions, where I'm a founding member. That's a UN organ that is thinking about universal access to broadband. We have our manifesto for the next 10 years to really see that in 10 years' time, we need to have a much better access to internet and to digital services for all people on this earth. Today, roughly 54% of the Earth population have access to internet. So we still have a long way to go, but think about it. It's about accessibility, it's about affordability, and it's about usability, meaning you have a device, you have content that is usable as well. So you need to solve all three of them in order to see that it doesn't really matter where you're born and where you are, in order to get the type of services that people can get. So that's what the Broadband Commission is working on. I have the big panel together with the United Nations Foundations, together with a lot of other CEOs, talking about how we, public-private sector, can work together to solve some of the larger problems. I'm on a couple of panels talking also about how the COVID-19 and everything around that has actually set us back when it comes to achieve goals and make this Earth a better place. All in all, I always come from the technology point of view, what I think is the most critical, and that's the mobility, broadband, and cloud, which is a 21st century infrastructure, and how that should be enabling and actually close the gap to some of these goals that are so far away and even further away as the economical downturn is coming dramatically on the most vulnerable in this world. We even have a further to get to an equal world where everybody can have the same type of opportunities regardless of where you're born. So a lot of work around that. So that's some of the things that I'm doing this week. I'm probably on 4 or 5 different panels, and it all matches back to our work as Verizon, what we are focused on. We're focused on the human prosperity, we're focused on the climate change, and we're focused on the digital inclusion. All that we are discussing and what we are doing and how we think other private sector companies should do in the partnership with the public sector. So a little bit what's going to happen next week is a little bit more distributed than normal. Normally, it's a fully packed week in New York City when you go between different type of events. This time is virtual, so you're actually having time for many more things at the same time.
Yeah. So, Hans, we talk a lot about, our commitment to our 4 key stakeholders and, society being one of them. And, one of the ways we, kind of can work to help put our commitments to society into action is through our business and human rights program. So we caught up with Nicole Carlbach, who is one of the leaders of that program, to learn a little bit more about her team and the work they're doing. Go ahead and take a look.
Hi, my name is Nicole Carlbach, and I lead the Business and Human Rights Program, or the BHRP. We're a dedicated team of human rights professionals inside Verizon looking at how our business is intersecting with human rights issues. The core of what our team does is really think about where our business wants to go in its core business strategy and how we can help achieve that strategy by considering how we're intersecting with human rights at the outset as opposed to later on when challenges arise. So what we're really trying to do is give the business a front foot on dealing with these type of challenging issues that come up. So thinking about things like the right to privacy as you're developing your privacy policy, privacy dashboard, how you are going to be transparent with customers. Similarly, on the free expression front, as we set policies and determine how individuals are going to learn, share, and use our products, the decisions we make can intersect their free expression rights. And so the more we think about that type of issue in advance, the more we can plan for it and think about how our policies and the implementation of them play out later on. I think we're finding more and more that consumers and customers and the users of our products and services are interested to see business be responsible and for business to show how they're doing that. And with that growing trend, it's important to explain how you're governing certain issues and how you're thinking about your impacts, particularly to human rights. We have always had a really warm reception since we landed in Verizon and started building out this function. I think because there's a real sense here that we want to be a responsible company and we want to be thinking ahead and we want to be on the front foot of considering our impacts both on individuals but also on society. And this is one way through the work of the Business and Human Rights team that we can set ourselves up to do that.
Thanks so much, Nicole, for sharing that. And you can learn more about the work of the Business and Human Rights Program on Verizon.com, as well as on VZ Web and The Street, and we'll be sure to share those links with you in our replay. So coming up Wednesday of this week, it is our second Citizen Verizon Assembly, if you want to go ahead and take that first slide, this time around the theme of education is not up for debate. Participants will include Yara Shahidi, Soledad O'Brien, Gabrielle Union, and our own Rose Kirk. So Hans, throwing it back to you, why do we host events like this one? Why is it important for Verizon to be facilitating these types of conversations?
And again, I think that it comes back to our responsibility as a company, and this is part of our strategy that we need to engage in our society, because the society, we're such a large company with customers in all different parts of the country and segments and youth and age and all of that. We need to be part of that conversation, both to understand what is happening, but also that we have a huge responsibility. As a big employer, we can drive change more than anybody else can do. And this Citizen Verizon Assembly number 2, we're focused on education. Very important. I was part of number 1. It was very exciting. It was so different views, that you get from different people. And the same is going to be here. And I guess Rose is going to be there to see that we hear the Verizon view. But clearly, we want more voices about education, how important it is. So I think so it tags along with our strategy when it comes to our 4 stakeholders, where society is, of course, one very important stakeholder.
So you can tune in to watch that. That's Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern on Yahoo, as well as on Verizon's Twitter. And additionally, Tuesday through Thursday of this week, some UNGA content developed by the Global Goals Studio will broadcast on Verizon platforms, including Yahoo Finance. So Hans, with that, I'll turn it back to you for final thoughts as we start to wrap up for today.
Thank you, Katie. Just mentioning maybe that Nicole and her team are doing a very important work. I mean, again, we have a broad base of customers. We need to listen what's happening in the market, so we are really living up to our brand, and our brand values are trust and innovation. So, of course, the trust piece is coming, how we deal with privacy, how we deal with free speech, human rights, and all of that. And that's why Nicole and her team are doing a super important work for our brand, so we are really showing up in the right way and being able to take the right decisions. All in all, I don't want to dwell too much. There's a lot of things happening in the company. I'm excited for this week, a lot of UN stuff this week, but also a lot of business as usual. Some of us are looking into the budget for next year this week. If you think that's exciting, that's what I'm doing on Wednesday. So I'm going between the internal and external meetings and seeing that we are driving this company forward in a time where there are a lot of challenges. And we haven't spoken so much, but we continue with these natural disasters. It's just amazing how many of them are coming. And I think the last natural disaster is called Beta, because they have exhausted the whole alphabetic. So now we're into the Greek alphabetics. I don't know. But the only thing I can say is that our team is doing a great job on the ground, but societies are suffering from all these things happening at the same time. We understand that our infrastructure is critical to be up in this time, and I thank the team on the ground and seeing that that's happening as we saw in the beginning. So I think that's it. I mean, a lot of stuff going forward here. So I guess I run to my next meeting and continue with other stuff. But it's always great to be on Up to Speed, and all the V teamers have a great week, and I see you soon.
All right. Hans, thanks so much for your time today. We always do appreciate having you here on Up to Speed. So here's something fun as we wrap up today. This year, of course, our 20th anniversary. And while it's an opportunity to look back, it's also an opportunity to look forward to our future. So our Pearl Street location in New York City has a new look along with our updated logo. Thanks to a time-lapse video, you can see years of work in about 30 seconds. Take a look. So cool to see that. And if you happen to find yourself in front of that building in NYC, take a photo, send it to us, tag us on social at BZUpToSpeed, or send it to us in an email at good@verizon.com. Well, as the video said, we are just getting started, but our time for today has come to a close. So with that, have a great Monday, everyone. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Until next time, you're Up to Speed.